in a compliance meeting, well, coach, you know, if you have this drug testing policy, you have to call the parent. And there were other issues with some parents that I'm not going to go into today, but it wouldn't have been productive to call the parent. I'm not going to get into specific cases. But yes, I take responsibility for that aspect. To me, the crucial part of the drug testing program is you let somebody practice or play when they shouldn't have. I never made that call. I was told what to do. If I'm told not to do something, a press conference, I don't do it. Because I work for people. Okay?
Coach, we saw a response from a recruit yesterday that said they want to help you go out with the national championship. Is that sort of support and rallying around the program been universal in what you've encountered since everything happened?
You know, it's obvious that people are going to support what we've done here, and they might be right or wrong. You know, obviously, but I appreciate the support that we have here, that we've always had here, and that we continue to have. And I think the biggest thing to me is, can there's no goal change here. We're going to try to win everything we can every year. There's nothing new. And the biggest response I've had initially, and really for a while, is players want to come here, they want to play for me, they want to play for Mike because they know he's a great coach, and that Adrian's here, and Jerry McNamara. That's why players want to come to Syracuse. It's a great school with a great reputation, and when you look at the facts in the case, to me, everything is serious. There is no excuse on anything, but academics is the most important area, and I think that's clear to everybody. And we had one case of academic fraud after an extensive 10-year investigation.
Coach, we have 2 more questions maybe.
I'll answer as many questions as people want to ask.
The report makes mention of a former academic staffer being a little apprehensive and pushing forward about issues.
This is a great question.
And he cited, you know, maybe basketball has a perceived advantage.
Yeah.
And he was mindful that a former employee might have pushed it out. What was your reaction to reading those comments? Do you agree with them?
The former employee that he was referring to was Terry McDonald, who was here for 20 years, who was awarded the Hardwood Club Medal, who was one of the great people I know and is a great friend of mine today. And she was instrumental in us having great academic support for her 20 years here. And that is the most fallacious statement I have ever heard from somebody, that she was pushed out, ever. And I've heard a lot of it. But in the second part of that, I met with the former head of student services probably on 8 or 10 occasions. We never had an angry word. I never said, you need to do this, you need to do that. We talked about different issues that come up in the program over time. I always talk to the people from the Department of Student Services who dealt directly with us, and our players, and our staff did. I never had an argument or a harsh word with him, ever. There was never anything from me to him that would indicate that he was intimidated. Let me give you another example. I go to eat at a restaurant, and the waitress there said, you intimidate me, coach. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? I intimidate some reporters just because I might look at them funny. But does that mean I'm going to do something to them? I mean, what does that really mean when you say that? Did he think I was, if he didn't do exactly what I said, which I never said anything to him? Like, if you don't get this done, I'm going to get you fired? Did he think that way? If he did, he has no I've never gotten anybody fired. I've never fired anybody. since I've been here, in my area or any other area. So I don't know, I mean, I've been told that I intimidate people. I don't do it intentionally. Good morning, everyone. As the head coach of the Syracuse University men's basketball team, I take great pride in what our program has accomplished on and off the court for the past 39 years. Ultimately, as head coach, I must also accept responsibility for the conduct of individuals within the program, including those who have found to have committed violations of NCAA rules as outlined in the NCAA Division I Committee on Infractions recently released report. And I do regret that these violations happen, and I apologize for any harm it has brought to my players and the university, or embarrassment it has caused to our alumni, students, and fans. Although the infractions report, get thirsty, does not find that I had personal involvement in any violations of NCAA rules, the Committee on Infractions has asserted that for the past 10 years, I did not promote an atmosphere of compliance within the men's basketball program, and I did not monitor the activities regarding compliance of those within the program. This could not be further from the truth. You have heard this story from the NCAA's point of view. Today, I'd like to share my perspectives. There are 4 key areas that I want to address: head coach responsibility, allegations of academic fraud, impermissible benefits, and the athletic department's voluntary drug testing policy. First, I believe in the NCAA's head coach responsibility bylaw and what it stands for. A head coach should be presumed responsible for violations of NCAA rules that occur within their program. I agree fully with that responsibility. That is why, as a member of the Board of Directors of the National Association of Basketball Coaches, I voted for the implementation of the head coach responsibility bylaw in 2005. However, I also believe that a head coach should have the opportunity to rebut the presumption of responsibility stated in the head coach responsibility bylaw by demonstrating that he promoted an atmosphere of compliance within the program and that he monitored the activities regarding compliance of those within the program. The head coach responsibility bylaw is not and was never intended to be a rule of strict liability. In our case, however, the committee imposed penalties on me personally without giving credence to my efforts to promote compliance within the men's basketball program, which is contrary to the head coach responsibility bylaw. In fact, in 2011, when the NCAA enforcement staff issued its first notice of allegations to Syracuse University, I was not charged with a violation of the head coach responsibility bylaw because of my non-involvement in the underlying violation and because of my devotion to promoting compliance within the men's basketball program. It was not until the second notice of allegations was issued to the university that I was charged with a violation of the head coach responsibility bylaw. In the intervening years, the charges against the university did not change. There were still no direct violations of NCAA bylaws alleged against me. Nevertheless, at that time, I even offered to make myself available to the NCAA enforcement staff for an additional interview to discuss the atmosphere of compliance within the men's basketball program, something that the enforcement staff had not specifically asked me about in my prior interviews. But the enforcement staff declined to listen to the additional information that I had. I want to stress again that I take responsibility for violation of NCAA rules that occurred within the basketball program. However, I believe that my effort to promote an atmosphere of compliance with the men's basketball program was disregarded by the enforcement staff and the Committee on Infractions, and that ultimately resulted in my suspension for the first 9 ACC games of the 2015-2016 season. What basis do I have for this assertion? Since 1992, I, along with the other members of the men's basketball staff, have participated in monthly meetings with the Office of Athletic Compliance. My staff and I are in constant communication regarding compliance matters, and I have ensured that open lines of communication exist within the program with respect to compliance matters, both directly to me and to the Office of Athletic Compliance. I meet with my staff on an almost daily basis to discuss compliance matters. My assistant coaches and staff members know the NCAA rules and know that we must follow them. Second, regarding academic fraud, well, I'm frustrated with the Committee on Infractions finding that I did not promote an atmosphere of compliance within the men's basketball program. I am most disappointed with the committee's suggestion that academic improprieties were accepted and encouraged within the men's basketball program. Though I take full responsibility for what has happened, I could not disagree more with this assessment. And I believe that the facts support my view. Even though many players come to Syracuse with the goal of playing in the NBA, we demand that our team members, our student athletes, doing the required work in the classroom as well as on the court. This is why I have been a long-time proponent of the academic progress rate. With the exception of the 2008-2009 academic year, when we had 3 student athletes withdraw from the university during the spring semester to prepare for the NBA draft, the men's basketball program has consistently earned an APR well in excess of the minimum required by the NCAA to maintain eligibility to compete in NCAA championships. Even before the implementation of the APR, however, I work closely with Student Athlete Support Services to ensure that our student athletes are appropriately focused on their academic responsibility and that they have the resources necessary to excel off the court. To this day, I meet daily with our academic coordinator to discuss the academic progress and success of our student athletes. Between 2008 and 2014, 11 of our 13 seniors graduated. We have an APR score of 1,000, a perfect score, in each of the last 2 years. I believe this shows we are paying attention to the academic welfare of our student athletes. In case of academic violations involving our former student athlete, it is clear from the infractions report that these violations occurred because our former director of basketball operations took it upon himself to provide impermissible academic assistance. The Committee on Infractions suggested I somehow did not do enough to promote compliance or monitor the activities regarding compliance of the former director of basketball operations. This is not true. I engaged in daily meetings with this individual regarding the academic progress of all our student athletes, and in particular, the student athlete identified in the infractions report. When I learned that this student athlete was permitted to seek a grade change open to all students in his college, all students, not student athletes, he could seek a grade change to restore his eligibility. I made it abundantly clear that the grade change should be done in accordance with university policies that apply to all Syracuse students. I was concerned with the welfare of this student athlete, but I never expected, and I certainly never encouraged, these individuals to cheat. This is not my way. Nevertheless, the Committee on Infractions assumes that because a violation occurred, it must have occurred because of my failure to promote compliance. This is an interpretation of strict liability and contrary to NCAA legislation and to my decades-long commitment to compliance and academic success. The Committee on Infractions suggested in its report that there was a 10-year period, which I had not read the report closely. You know, you look at it, but we're trying to play a game. So I didn't think it was really a great idea to go out there without knowing anything really to answer. And those questions are going to be asked. I mean, I'm going to go to the podium and I'm going to say something about the game, and then every question after that is going to be about the report. So it really, it wouldn't have been a productive press conference. Mike would do that as well or better than I could in terms of here's what happened in the game. But I would have gone. I was counseled not to go, and I don't find tremendous fault with that. I think you might find fault with the dozens of articles that I've read where people said I was a coward without knowing, well, were you told to do the press? Nobody asked me. Nobody's ever asked me that. Nobody's ever asked anybody, to my knowledge. So the assumption is made, you didn't, you sent Mike Hopkins out there, you coward. I never sent anybody out anywhere, and I did not make that decision. Again, if you believe that I make all the decisions here, then, you're under some delusion. I hope I've tried to dispel that today. A little bit, maybe, I don't know.
Jim, I know you said you're in favor of the coach's accountability
Yes.
Law, and you can't control everybody, obviously. But if it doesn't apply to your director of basketball operations and his direct behavior, who would it apply to?
No. I don't think you understand, Chris, the rule. The rule is I'm responsible for his behavior unless I can show that I have rebutted it. That's a big difference. No coaches, if you look at your fired coaches, no coach has ever been fired for not having control. Not one. You can go, you had 20 cases in there. Every one that a coach was fired, he did it. He did it. If I had told somebody, put these in here, get this fixed, do this, do that, I would be fired.
I laid out the circumstances. I thought that was...
You did, but I'm saying, you never laid out a circumstance. You never came to the conclusion that, whoops, no coach has ever been fired. And coaches, even now, in this case, have not been held to that rule. I am being held to that rule, and I accept that. There is a presumption of fairness also within the NCAA.
I never said you should be fired. I just think that...
No, I didn't say you did.
Okay, just want to make sure.
But when you put a lot of articles in there about these guys are fired, it leads people that maybe aren't smart like me to think, well, maybe he's saying the coach should be fired. No. I think the coverage has been fine, it's been fair with your paper. I disagree with things like I always do, and that's, if I didn't, then you wouldn't be doing a good job, I'm sure. I disagree with a couple things that my esteemed colleagues, Mike and Donna, did, which I will have a discussion with them about at some time, but we've had those discussions. Do I not like them? I do like them. I hope you know that. And I hope that you have, well, at least something. I won't say like, something. You do like me, don't you, Donna? Thank you.
Can you take us through the time frame of the discussion with Kent on setting the retirement date and when you guys started talking about it?
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've had conversations.
Before?
Yeah, before. And I think that it has always been open-ended because there was no need not to be. I think in my mind, I really didn't want to have a discussion until we got through this period in our history. And obviously, as I've said many times, it's a bad period. somebody asked me about legacy, and coaches are legacy is, how many did you win? How many games did you win? Are you a good coach or a bad coach? Some people think I wouldn't go as far as to say a good coach, but a pretty good coach, and some people think I'm not. And I was coaching 14 years in a national paper, fortunately no longer with us, had the front page saying Jim Boeheim is the worst coach in the NCAA tournament. That's 64 coaches. I don't know if it was 64 then. It was a long time ago. It might not have been 60, but it was a lot. It was a lot of coaches. So my legacy isn't too good with that writer. Now, the paper folded, so maybe that's no, your legacy, how people think of you as a coach is, I remember a great time. I was talking to a player that played at UCLA when I was a young coach, and I said, just starting out. I asked the player, I said, it's unbelievable. You play for Coach Wooden, and I mean he said, well, he wasn't that good. We had great players. So I guess everybody has their opinion, and everybody will have their opinion about my coaching ability. That's part of my legacy. The other part, I hope, of my legacy that I care about is that people in this community think, in this nation who are Syracuse people, think that I've been loyal to Syracuse University, that I've done everything I can for Syracuse University, and that I've done everything I can for my community. And I've done everything that I can, and some people will hold me accountable to that, or what I haven't done, but I'm comfortable. And what I really care about is the opinion of those people. There's been people all my life who said I shouldn't come to Syracuse, I couldn't play here. My best friend freshman year said, you aren't going to play here. So, I mean, you're going to get that. People didn't want to hire me here. Some guy told my best friend he'll never win any games there. He won't last 2 years. So everybody has their opinions, and I don't really mean I don't give what their opinion is much about it. Like I said, that was kind of a press conference thing. They're entitled to them. It's a great country, and everybody's going to have their opinion.
I'm just wondering whether there's some way to have these multi-million-dollar operations go on the campus of an educational facility and not be constantly, at least under very close scrutiny and a lot of questions raised about whether there is a separation between the academics and the
I'm not going to get the exact time, but there was a quote, college athletics is completely out of control. They don't know we don't know what's going on. The athletes aren't going to school. They're not doing it. It was like 1920, for the, 1930. There's always going to be people that feel that way. I think we have 350 schools. I think everybody does it the right way as far as they can. Can mistakes be made? Yes. Do people make mistakes? Yes. And, that's part of it. It's the same in every walk of life, college life. There was hundreds of fraud cases, academic frauds at every school in the country. This last year, every school. It happens. This isn't unique. We're not like one, whoa. And that's what it tends to be. It happens every day. At every university, there's fraud, academic fraud. Kids do things they shouldn't do. And, that's the way it is. I think big-time college athletics it's always been big time. It's gotten bigger because it's more on TV now, but it's always been important. Athletics has always been important. It's just the scale is different. But when I started coaching, if you didn't win, you got fired. If you don't win now, you get fired. There's not major changes. I wanted to play in the NBA. I don't criticize a player. I want every one of our players to hope he can play in the NBA. I want them to be realistic and know that they can. But the ironic thing about players is everyone that plays at Syracuse can play for money someplace. Everyone. I mean, there's, everybody says, well, only 3% of college athletes play in the NBA. That's true. But they all can play someplace. There is a country you can play in if you want to play. But if you get your degree because you will need that degree someday, unless your name's Bill Gates. You will need that degree. And that's what we stress. That's why we had a guy graduate this year as a junior. That's why our 2 juniors who have a year of eligibility left will graduate this spring. Because we believe in that value. And we practice it. And we have facts to back it up. This isn't a coach saying we do a good job. This is a coach saying we do a good job, and here are the facts. Here are the facts in the case. That's important.
Coach, me again here in the middle. Just to confirm, you said, are you going to appeal the 9-game suspension?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And also the number of vacated wins has been.
I can't appeal.
Is there a number there?
You know, one thing that's important that hasn't been brought out, and I'd like to bring it out, every penalty is a penalty on the coach. Every penalty is a penalty on the school. There is no, I mean, they can separate it, but if I can't coach 9 games, and it hurts the school. If I can't get scholarships, it hurts the school, and it hurts the coach, because, well, we can't get players. I think we can, I think we will. We had 8 players on our team on scholarship when we won the national championship. So I think we can do that, but it's obviously, we think it's the most severe scholarship punishment. That's the school's decision. All of these penalties affect me, and they affect the school. And the 9-game suspension affects all of the players on next year's team. I will appeal, it won't work, we will appeal that I could coach in practice to get them ready for the games and take the punishment of not coaching them in the game. And I don't think that I will take salary if I'm not going to be able to coach in games, and I think I'll take that money and donate it to local charities, not my own. Because I don't think I'll feel right doing that. But, so we will appeal that. It's a harsh one. I think I probably, there should be a suspension of games. That's the new policy. That's the new way. But, I mean, there's been coaches implicated in actually doing something that got a 3-game. So I think it's harsh, but we'll see.
Have they given you a number of wins, and is that also something you appeal?
I can't appeal that. They're not.
Is there a number that you know?
I don't know. No, that's the school's decision, I've never felt taking wins away from the whole team for what, if one guy did something, depending on what it was, and so on and so forth. They haven't been consistent in enforcing that, obviously, over the years. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I think at the end of the day, when the final time comes, does it matter how many games you won? Is that important? It isn't to me. I know. I don't see Bud here. So he thinks it is, but it's nice, but it's not. It's not what I'm going to be thinking about near the end.
Jim, you've talked about Mike Hopkins and your sort of personal feelings and with him and all, but in terms of the ambiguity of his situation right now, and in terms of going forward, 3 years is a long time to have we're not exactly sure who the coach is going to be. And would you hope that resolution comes pretty quickly?
I would think it will come. Hope that it would come quickly. Yeah, I would hope so. I think this is not, I don't think the chancellor said anything about it not happening. I think all he said was this isn't really the right exact time to get into that, and I think he's right. I think it's a good decision. But I think that will, I mean, listen, Mike wanted to leave. I mean, he had a chance to get a job, and he could have been gone. We would never hold him back. I would never do that. And if he saw a great opportunity right now, he would take that job because he wants to be a head coach. But, so I don't think this is a problem. I think people have already made it a problem, so it'll probably be hard to go back for those people. But I think some people that haven't already made a comment on this, I don't think this is an issue. I really don't.
You don't get to hurt recruiting
Well, it certainly has not hurt our recruiting so far. And I don't think it will next year, and I'm gonna be here, I'm coaching. So they're coming, everybody we recruit, coach. You only need to be there for 1 year. That's the reality. This is reality. I'm gonna be here for 3. If I said right now I'm gonna be here 1 year, that would be a problem. I'm not. This will work out in time.
Coach, it's a little off topic, but it's the school district you and your family live in. Would you have any response to reports that Bob McKinney's being forced out at JD?
I trust me, I have enough coaching my team. I respect Coach McKinney. I have known him a long time, and I think he's done a great coaching job at James Wood High School. That's a high school decision. They make them all the time, and it's not for me to say. As a parent, I might have gone to the meeting, but I was a little preoccupied.
We appreciate everybody coming.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you.